Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Believe in Duke podcast. I'm Steve Wiseman from the Raleigh News and Observer, joined as always by Sheldon Williams. Sheldon doing something a little different today on YouTube Live.
hmm
It's a big week for Duke basketball. It's a big season. Finally got to the Final Four. So, just what'd you think from what you saw on Saturday night?
Yeah, I guess shout out to us doing that live for the first time.
Yeah.
Right before the Final Four starts up. So I guess kick off the Final Four the right way. But yeah, from what I saw, it was like we had the game under control, but we couldn't break that 10-point lead for a long time. I'm like, they're still like Alabama's still in the game. They're still in the game. Can we break it? Can we break it? And, eventually we did. I'm like, but it got to the point where it's like, are we actually going to, break this 10-point lead so we can go ahead and put them out the misery, so to speak, But I guess it's the Elite Eight, so everybody want to, have a little bit of a close game up until, the end of the game.
And I guess, there's a lot of like PTSD from the Arizona game because Duke got up to a 19-point lead in that game. And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
Caleb Love, it was back to like 7 points in like a heartbeat.
Right.
And so I kept thinking Alabama's, I saw him shoot 25 3-pointers 2 nights earlier. I kept thinking they were getting on a roll. And, Mark Sears, whatever. And if it's only a 10-point lead, it might be nothing, right? So that was kind of I kind of felt it the way you felt it. Like I was watching this game. And, but they never got closer than 6 points. They finally got down to 7. And, I was playing the first half. I remember it was Duke was up by 6. Shot was missed. Malik Brown with his one arm grabs the rebound, kicks it out to Foster for the 3-pointer. Then they're up 9. Every time something like that had to happen, first half, second half, somebody made a play. Cooper came down and got a basket. Cooper didn't have a great game. We can talk about that. We will. But Khan had a great game. And it was either Khan or Tyrese. Tyrese only had 7 points, whatever it was. Didn't matter. Cooper, Kaman had, some stuff in there. I mean, they just did. They finally put it all together. This was the best team they've played all year, we thought, and they still beat them by 20. So,
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. It sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
It definitely does. It definitely does. Watching this team, and it almost seems like when we do have a big lead, they kind of get bored a little bit. So a part of me was like, well, I'm glad that they're not blowing this team out early on, because we've seen the tendency of Arizona game where we kind of lose interest into the game, and then all of a sudden, boom! It's a game now. So for a fan point of view, yeah, it's nice, because the back and forth game runs, that type of thing. But for a guy who actually played on the team, and you're like, no, you don't want to have too many chances, because it only takes 1 or 2 rolls, and all of a sudden it's a different ball game. So I know that this has been a great season for our team. We had a chance to really shut down Sears, and who wasn't really, I guess, used to a lot of taller, athletic guys guarding him, because he was able to kind of step for step match whatever he does. And we was right there, being strong with him, being physical with him, and being able to, make it difficult for him to get going. And sure enough, it was a difficult night for him.
That was something that I found surprising, frankly, given that as strong as the SEC is this year, right, with all the teams that made the tournament, they got 2 in the Final Four, they had 4 in the Final 8, all that, okay? Alabama played Auburn, they played Tennessee, they played Florida. I would have thought that would have been exposed before then, and it wasn't. So that was a stunner to me. Going into that, the whole thing I was worried about from a Duke point of view was Sears going off again. He had 10 3-pointers the other night. It looked like JJ Redick out there, man, just nailing them in. And but he looked ordinary against Duke. He looked ordinary. Proctor was all over him. Sion, they traded off.
Mm-hmm.
All that kind of stuff. So hey, great work by the defense, and so it got the job done. Defense wasn't as good against Arizona. I know the players in the locker room after the game, we talked about it in the last episode, were angry. Like, how did we, that's the worst defense Duke played all year. And they certainly fixed it in one day, quick turnaround for that next game. and they got it done. So I see some comments coming in here on the live stream. So thanks everybody for that. We're going to get to those in a second. Before we do, I want to remind everybody about our sponsor, Bet Online. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. The Final Four is upon us, and Bet Online has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to MLB, NHL, and UFC, and even the Kentucky Derby and NFL season futures are ready for you to bet. In between games, head over to the Bet Online Casino with all top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. Bet Online, the game starts here. So one of the comments in our thing here, thanks for the shout out there for having us on YouTube. The question is, did you think at the start of the season Duke would end up at the Final Four? I mean, I did. I thought they had that kind of talent. I knew the way John had built their roster in the offseason that they were built to do this. They were built to, after that loss last year to NC State, how angry they were about that, how disheartening it was to lose to a neighborhood rival and all that, and one game from the Final Four, that they were determined to get through the Final Four this year. So, yeah, I did think that this should be a Final Four team when the year started. I thought that in other seasons for Duke, and as the year goes along, you kind of see, you know what, this may not be that kind of team. It's going to take some special upsets or whatever to happen. This team, I thought all along, had everything they needed to do to make the Final Four. So to answer your question, yes, I did think that. Sheldon, I wonder if you agree. I think you probably agree.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that as well. I mean, it shows, a season like this shows that it's very special when everything kind of goes right. And when I say go right, majority of the team is healthy, playing the right way, playing the top of their game, and they playing collectively team basketball. So a lot of times you have different variables that kind of go into the season that doesn't really necessarily, you think it will come up when you start the journey, then all of a sudden it does, and then you try to adjust and try to figure out how to, deal with those type of adversities that's thrown at you. But, having a player like Cooper coming in and building a team around what Cooper does, having Khan and Kaman and bringing in, Sion's, Proctor being the veteran he is, it was a lot of stuff is built around this team for us to be able to go far if we all stay healthy. And I think that's something that we have done, and we've shown that, and it doesn't hurt that we got one of the best defensive teams as well, too. So that doesn't hurt either.
That's right. And again, we talked about the defense wasn't as good in the second half against Alabama. I think part of that goes back to something you mentioned earlier in this episode. They got a little bored. They were up by 19 points, and they even though Arizona got close, it got a little hinky there. They never got close enough to where they had a chance to win the game. I mean, it was Duke, made the free throws down the stretch and all that, but that's part of why it got closer. And then, but the Alabama game, they never let them get that close. They got within maybe 6 or 7, and that was it. It was never a chance to tie the game or take the lead. And it goes back to what was worked on last summer. Our episodes last summer, I was around the team. You've been around the team. They bought into the defense day one. They wanted to play, that to be the foundation of this team was going to be great defense. And there were times when the defense was ahead of the offense. If you remember back the game against Kentucky in Atlanta back in November, I think Duke was 4 out of 20 from 3-point. They lost that game because the offense wasn't good enough. The defense did fine, but the offense couldn't. They made turnovers down the stretch. Cooper was a little loose with the ball. The defense was always there, and now the offense is where it's really cooking. It's really cooking right now. And this team, there's only 4 teams left. They're all number 1 seeds. That's an incredible Final Four. But
yeah.
Duke's as talented as any of them, and is number 1 in Ken Pom, number 1 in the AP rankings. They're, I think they're probably the favorite going into the Final Four. So they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was trying to think when's the last time all 4 Final Four number 1s made the Final Four. I couldn't think of it off the top of my head. I'm sure it wasn't that long ago. What is it? It
only happened one time in history. 2008.
2008. So I didn't think it was that long ago, but I do remember it being, talked about.
Yeah.
So for it to happen again, it's kind of wild. I mean, especially I guess with Houston, because they won with 0.9 seconds ago to get to the Final Four. So that was kind of a crazy game for them.
Yeah.
But it's cool that we have a chance to play Houston again. We had a little match with them, and then potentially a rematch with Auburn if they beat Florida. So it's going to be kind of cool to kind of have full circle moment, where uh, the game against Auburn at Duke early in the year that kind of set us to become the team that we are now finishes off with Auburn for the championship. So I think that would be kind of a cool full circle moment if that does happen. Granted, we got to take care of our business. Whatever happens on that side, it happens on that side, but we got to take care of our business. But I was thinking about that, like that would be kind of a cool moment because that game kind of transcended us to become the team that we are, after that long, hard stretch with Arizona, Kansas, Kentucky, then Auburn. So
yeah, those were the 4 big games in November, December. That was the litmus test where, as we said earlier, we thought this was a team that was built for a Final Four run, but you don't know it until you see them on the court. And they lost that opening. The first of those 4 was against Kentucky. That was a loss. And then they headed on the road to Arizona and won by 14. And that's where I was like, whoa, okay, this is something pretty good. But at that time, Arizona wasn't playing very well. Okay.
Right.
But still, you go to McHale Center and win by double digits. You're a pretty good team. And then Duke lost to Kansas. Close game in Vegas. Again, failure in the final minute, turnover by Kahn. And so then going into the Auburn game, that was like, this is a must win. This is a must win because if they don't, they'll be 1-3 in these big games. The only win was Arizona, which is good, but like you don't want to be 1-3 because going into the ACC, it wasn't going to be as strong this year. You had to get those. So that's coming full circle to be in Auburn would be poetic because that was really the game that they won when I thought, okay, this team can win a national championship. They beat this team on this court. If you remember early in that game, Auburn was up like 15-2 or something. And there were a lot of Auburn fans in Cameron making a lot of noise. So shout out to them for doing that. But Duke turned it around and won that game. And that was the big turning point, I think, was getting that win. So yes, big time. And 4 number ones, in 2008, it was that's the year Kansas beat Memphis in overtime. And Carolina was there, and boy, the 4th one is escaping me. But anyway, Carolina played Kansas, I think, in the semifinals and lost to them. But 4 number ones. How about Walter Clayton Jr. for a second? Can we talk about him, the kid from Florida? Oh my!
I don't know why Rick Pitino didn't have him follow him to St. John's, because if he was doing that at Iona, because I didn't really watch Iona, but if he was doing that at Iona, and then all of a sudden I started watching him during the tournament, I was like, who is this kid? And this kid is over here like just hitting big shots after big shots, whatever. And even in the last game, I mean, he didn't have a great game, but he still had 30.
Yes, yes.
So I was like, man, who is this kid? But he's been playing well. He's been playing well. So I was like, hey, Florida's a team that really does match up well with Duke. They have the size to match up with us, which it would be kind of an interesting game if we actually did face them in a championship. But that's a team that I'm looking at like, well, they got a few 7-footers on the team. They got some bigger guys on the team. It could be interesting matchup if we did match up with them.
It would be. And our mutual acquaintance and friend Jay Billis has said all along that Duke and Florida are the 2 best teams. Now they have to get there. They're almost there to meet, but he thinks the 2 most talented teams are Duke and Florida. And again, with Walter Clayton Jr., that would be the kind of matchup, kind of like Mark Sears. Like, okay, Tyrese, go at him, go get him. You got to shut him down. Sion's got to shut him down. All that, and we'll see if they can do it if it comes to that. But that's another matchup that'll be fun as we get ready for this week to think about is maybe Duke and Florida because boy, there's a lot of talent all over that team too. And Florida and Auburn have played already, so we've seen that game. I don't know. We'll see when we get to San Antonio.
Yeah, I just hate that this late in the season we've seen teams that already played that's in the same conference. So I hate that part because I mean, like we already seen y'all play twice already in the regular season, and if y'all match up in the conference, whatever. But I'm like, let's get some new teams in here that we haven't seen play each other before. So, but yeah, it just kind of testament to the SEC how many good teams they had this year. So it was bound to happen. I mean, they had
did.
14 teams, so it was bound to happen.
14, yes,
to
14.
have two in the Final Four. So
yep, and the SEC's done that in the past. Had multiple teams in the Final Four, so it has happened. The year you went to San Antonio, Georgia Tech was there. Remember?
on the other side,
on the other side, yeah, they played Oklahoma State. You guys had UConn. So it does happen. But speaking of your 04 team, and hang on, before we go any, we got a question here. NFC 1 fan asked me what scares you about Houston. So my thoughts are they are a very experienced team. They have a lot of guys back from the team that lost to Duke in the Sweet 16 last year. LJ Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp, those guys are older. They're older. They're an older team than Duke. Duke obviously has a lot of freshmen. But this is where bringing in Sion James and Malik Brown and Mason Gillis, this was the brain work of John Shire, anticipating, okay, if we get back to the Final Four, we might have to play a team like Houston that's got seniors and juniors all over the court. How are we going to do that? Because Cooper Flagg's got to play. We have to have somebody with experience. So Houston's experience gives me pause about what they have. That's a scary thing for them. I think Duke has enough to match up with it. What do you think, Sheldon, about what you think about Houston?
Yeah, I think the thing that might worry me the most is the way Sampson's teams are coached. They're a team that they don't give up. They are relentless. They are a team that is going to keep coming at you in waves, whether it be defense or offense. And I think, especially in defense ends, they have a lot of Malik Brown type hands where they get, they kind of bother your offense and disrupt your offense. And they may not be able to match up size-wise with us, but their speed and their grit and their physicality is something that I can't take lightly, because that's a team that has been tried and true through all this journey. I think this is a team that, just the way they coach and how hard they coach, they're going to be a team that's going to be, you have to make them lay down, and they're not going to lay down easy. And I think that's something that we have to be prepared for, because if we get bored in a game like that, Houston is a team that can turn it up whenever, and that's something that we don't want to be a part of. If we over here up 15 and all of a sudden we down, I mean, not down, but they're going to run, and now it's up a 2-3 possession game.
Yeah, last year's game was 54-51, so it was a defensive struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Duke was a very good defensive team last year. I think this Duke team's a better offensive team than that one was. And I think it's better defense. I think this is better. It's a more physical. This team is more equipped to handle physical play than John's first two teams.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, you said a better offensive team. I believe we're 80 something points a game that we averaging in the tournament.
Yeah.
So I mean,
pretty good.
It's hard to beat. It's really good. So I mean, it's going to be a team where you have two defensive teams that likes to keep. Houston likes to keep the score a little bit, in the 60s at least. When they're trying to hold their team down. It's going to be interesting to see if we can actually outstand their defense with our offense.
Because their defense in KenPom, Houston's is number one in the country. Duke has the number one offense. Houston has the number one defense. Mm-hmm. And Houston's offense is 10th, which isn't awful, but
no,
it's not. It's not like one or two. Like, Duke's offense is 1, Houston's defense is 1. Duke's defense, I think, is 4th, and Houston's offense is 10th. So, relatively speaking, 10th is bad, but in that circle, but overall, that's still pretty dang good. They're a really good 3-point shooting team. It's going to take a lot of switching, and we're going to do another episode later on the week before the game, but we can break some of that down. But the switching is going to be key. That was what was key against Alabama, was running them off 3-point line, keeping somebody in their face all the time. They really got frustrated, and you have to try to frustrate Houston, right? You have to try to get them out of what they want to do.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be interesting. Like I said, both teams gonna come out with a lot of energy. I'm expecting a little bit more from Houston because they're right down the street. So I'm expecting a little bit more because they're gonna have a lot of hometown people, driving a couple hours up to San Antonio to, to the game. So I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit more for them. But again, it's the Final Four, so everybody's going to be up for it. Everybody's going to be ready for it. It's a big stage. It, I just think it's going to be a good game. I'm not sure. Are we playing the first game or the second game? Do you remember?
Second game. It's the late
Second
game.
Yeah. Another late game. Jeez, I got to sit here and take naps before I got to
go. I'll sleep in June, I guess. I'm never going to. But yeah, last year's game was in Dallas. There were a lot of Houston fans there that day, but there were a lot of Duke fans too. So, yeah, it's, the defensive matchup will be key, running them off the line and everything. And I was going to say, I just remembered Kelvin Sampson. I liked what he said in Indianapolis when they beat, they won the game against Tennessee. Was he didn't worry about, they got a bad draw. Okay, they had to go to Indy and play Purdue, right there by their campus.
Yeah.
Then it was either Tennessee or Kentucky, who had tons of fans there. It was like 60-70% of the fans were not for Houston.
Right.
And he said, you know what? Then now that it's done, his team's going to be at home kind of for San Antonio. And he said, I never complained about it because I know it can turn around like it did for us. Now we're going to be the ones that can drive here. And we're happy for that. So I just like that. I like that attitude from Kelvin Sampson. I think we talked last year. Didn't he recruit you, son, when you were in high school? Is that
he did? He was at Oklahoma when I was in school. Yeah. My high school coach went there. My AU teammate, my high school teammate, they both went to Oklahoma. So they were a little bit mad at me for not choosing Oklahoma when I went to Duke. But yeah, there was a whole thing. Oh yeah, we can always all go to Oklahoma, support and represent. And I'm like, how you get mad at me if Duke was in Oklahoma and you had a chance to go to Duke, Oklahoma? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't get mad at me for that. They told me I turned my back on Oklahoma type thing. So I mean, I went through it a little bit, but it's all good. That's kind of the competition of trying to make a team better than what they were the year before. And Sampson at that time was still trying to find his team to kind of put himself on the map type thing as well too. But he found his home in Houston, which he built his own program there. Him and his son, who was actually a guy that I played in high school. He went to a rival high school when I was in school too. So had a chance to play against his son as well. But good guy. I'm glad to see him getting this thing going. Like you said, said he had to play in somebody else's backyard to get to the Final Four, which is in his backyard. So things could turn around. Just like, if anybody going to complain, I guess Florida should complain. They had to go way out west to play
exactly
in San Francisco. So that reminded me of my freshman year when we went out to Utah. Utah
or Anaheim? Were you in Anaheim too, or no?
Yeah. I think that was the next round. So we had to do Anaheim the next round too. So we had to fly way out there for that too. So we were the last number 1 seed, just like Florida. So we got shipped out way out there. So it is what it is. You gotta do what you gotta do. The cards you dealt, and kind of
you just line up and win the games, baby.
Yeah. Yep.
Same there. We got some more questions in here about Coach Shire. Some of the work he's done this season, his growth through this season, which I think has been amazing. I happened to have a conversation with Coach K this morning, and that story's on the News and Observer website, newsobserver.com. If you want to read more about it. But he was very complimentary, of course, of the job that John has done in building the roster, in the tearing down last year's team and rebuilding it, and the togetherness they have, and John's ability to take something from a lot of different coaches he's been around, or he's studied things. He studied succession plans in business and in sports, and how sometimes it doesn't work when you're the guy that follows the guy. But for John, it's worked, right? He's done the right things. He's built, it's his team. And Coach K said, I told him early on, don't try to be somebody else. Just be you, because you is enough, right? Same thing he told the team. And 15 years ago in the 2010 championship game against Butler, when John was in that huddle, just be you. You is enough. And it's the same advice he gave him now. And he couldn't be more proud of of the work that he's done this year. And so you've known John for a long time, Sheldon. I'm just curious how you've seen him kind of grow and be so comfortable in this job and to get to the Final Four.
And that's the thing. He's comfortable. I mean, he has some mighty big shoes to fill, and he looks super comfortable from start to now. Like I've never really seen like, oh my God, like, is this moment too big for me type thing, or it's the weight of the world kind of getting on me. You never see that. He has the same face when he's going out there to every game, and he's seemed like he's enjoying, being in the moment and coaching his team. And that's something that I gotta give him his props on, because not a lot of people can follow a giant like Coach K, and for him to follow it and to do well, that's even icing on the cake. Because a lot of times, sometimes it takes a little bit while to get to that point. He hit the floor running. As soon as he got the reins, he hit the floor running. So this is his first Final Four that he's actually the head coach in. So congratulations to him with that. He's been in the Final Four already before, as a player and as assistant coach. But for him to actually be doing his own, this is my own, first time. That's even special. So somebody said, does it give me confidence that he can out accolade Coach K? Like, all right, come on, hey. Coach K was there for 40 years. It takes a long time to be like a legend coach. So you can't start so fast where your first 5 years, all of a sudden, is he better than Coach K type thing? Like, hey, come on, right? Pump the brakes a little bit. He's doing well. He's doing well right now. Let him create his own path.
Yeah, absolutely. And but yeah, one Final Four is a start, and that's I think Coach K had 13, so he's got a ways to go. But one, can't get to 13 without getting to one, right? And he got to one.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this is the one that really coming to this year, we talked about, could they be a Final Four team? I thought they could, but I thought they kind of had to be to justify all the work that John has done. Now, whether that's fair or not, we can argue that. But he won an ACC his first year. They got to the Elite Eight last year. Even if they'd won the ACC like they did this year and lost that game the other night to Alabama, there would have been a lot of disappointment in not breaking through and getting to the Final Four. Because if you're going to be the man that follows the man, you're going to be successful, you have to get back to the Final Four and win a title. At some point, he's going to have to win a title. And maybe it's going to be this year. Maybe it's not. At this point, it's kind of a toss-up, man. Everybody's great. It's for number one. So, but he's done the job. He has done the job. When they picked him to replace Coach K 4 years ago this spring, this was what they had in mind: was can they win continuously, continue to win, consistently be among the best teams in the country, and get to the Final Four and win a national championship, every once in a while. You don't expect to win every year, but you got to be in contention. And there's no question that they are. And we look at the team that's coming in next year. Even without what the guys they're going to lose from this year's team, they're going to be back in the same position next year. So there's no question in my mind that John has succeeded in the plan that they set out for him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know if the team is going to be as talented as this team for next year, but they do have some good guys coming in. That's going to be interesting to see how they kind of mold into wherever team they could become for next year. But yeah, I mean, again, for a guy to follow Coach K, I mean, it's just amazing in itself. I mean, there's been other coaches that we've seen that try to follow somebody else. I mean, shoot, look at Villanova. The guy trying to follow Jay Wright. After Jay Wright had back-to-back championships, whatever it was, and now he's gone. Like, it's not always easy thinking that, here's the rein to the car that I just built. Now all of a sudden you drive it. It's not always that easy. So for him to actually, be able to do that and find things the way he does in his own way and still add the Duke way with it, because a lot of times you can't really get out of somebody's shadow as easy without trying to do the things that you were accustomed to while he was underneath that umbrella. He has found a way where he's been underneath the umbrella for so long. He's found a way to kind of do his own path and still hold on to some different different ways that he had with Coach K's era. And somebody put in the comments, Coach K was a great coach for pre NIL, and John has been a great coach for post NIL, pretty much. So, but as right now, I mean, it's still early, but as right now, I mean, I can see that yes, that's very true. I mean, you need a younger coach anyway for the NIL because it's a different time than it was, back when all the other coaches were doing it back 80s and 90s and early 2000s.
And that's something else that it's a great point about the different area, younger coach. You're changing with the times. You're more. It's easier to adjust. When you're a younger person, things are changing. And as Coach K said when I was chatting with him was, John can still get out there on the court and hoop a little bit. He can. John still thinks he can outshoot Tyrese Proctor. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Some days maybe you could. Some days maybe you can't. You know how it is, Sheldon. You always got your game, but that helps. You can get out there and you can relate. It's really good. And yeah, he is built for this time in coaching with the general manager, Rachel Baker, and the NIL and the transfer portal. He connects with people very well. And that's why they've built the roster they've built. And that's why I think they'll do it again next year. They're going to have some spaces available for transfers. They're already working on that behind the scenes. They have to, because the portal is open. So anyway, I think, yes, for this era, John Shire is really perfectly situated to keep winning.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't see any more questions over there yet. We're getting close to about time to wrap this up for today. But anyway, we'll have another episode coming later in the week before the Houston game. We'll kind of break down more of the matchups and talk about some X's and O's and things like that. Maybe have a guest or two. I'll be in San Antonio on Wednesday for the News and Observer. They'll be sending me down there. We'll be covering the Duke Final Four trip. See if they can get title number 6, man. The 6th banner is right out there, just 2 wins away. So that's what everybody's been pushing for. I know it's what this team wants. And they seem, as good a chance as anybody now. They have everything they can do to win it. They have every piece they need to win it.
They do. So I'm hoping that's the case. Everybody stays healthy and keep playing the way they've been playing and play defense the way we know how to play defense and don't get bored. And we might be looking at another banner being raised in camera.
Very good. All right. Thanks everybody for joining us on this special live edition of the Believe in Duke podcast. We appreciate our sponsor, Bet Online. We'll be back again later on in the week talking some more Duke basketball. No better subject to talk about right now in college basketball than Duke. So top of the polls, top of KenPom, top of mind, top player in the country. So there you go. Thanks everybody for joining us this time, and we'll join you next time.
All right, let's go Duke.